Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Two Guys with Beards Talking Knicks podcast, also known as the Big Nick Energy podcast. How you doing today, Marky?
I could be better, Mr. John. It's
I hear you.
sunnier days ahead, I suppose.
Well, I'm out in LA where it has been pretty sunny, but I could still use some better days ahead. I'm not going to lie. Since we last spoke, and I think this is what we're both alluding to, the Knicks squeaked out an overtime thriller against the mighty Bulls of Chicago, and then they lost to the Cavs and Celtics, both on national television, because that's what the Knicks do. They lose to the Cavs, Celtics, and Thunder, and the Lakers on national television.
Do the Lakers have a better record than us?
No, but they lost to the Lakers on ESPN.
I know, you take exception
mere
to
hours
that being
before
out
the
in
Luka
LA.
trade. I mean, yeah, I do, but also it's been like the last month of we finally get some nationally televised games, and we lose them all.
Well, it's to me, it's really concerning and really deflating as a fan to see that. What is it now? We're 0-7. I think that's the record.
Yes, 0-7, I believe, against those
against
teams.
the three teams that are better than us in the league, and there is nothing that even. I think we might have been competitive in one of those games. And
Sure.
You know, I saw Stephen A. at the end of the which
I
game
cannot
was it?
stand him.
Yeah. All right, whatever. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Let's not.
I believe it was after the Celtics. Yes, it was a Celtics game. He was like proud that they brought it to within 4 at one point. I'm like, but then you saw what happened. Like they couldn't sustain that. They couldn't make a run fully back. Like,
Yep.
oh no, we suck again.
Oh no, we suck again. Which, for those at home, is the title of today's podcast outline. I do think there is a very clear top 3 teams in the NBA, and the Knicks are either 4th or 5th, depending on how you look at the new look Lakers and the Knicks. And yeah, it's unfortunate. I will say it does feel great to be disappointed that we're not one of the top 3 teams in the NBA. That being said, I want to be one of the top 3 teams in the NBA.
Yeah, well, you know, the difference between this year and last year is that we had hope last year that we could be. You know what I mean? Like we beat some of these teams early on. Not really. The Cavs a little different story, but like we competed with the Celtics and I almost said Eagles, the Sixers. You know, like it was like, okay, if we could get to the playoffs and we have a chance to beat the Celtics. If we play the Celtics, we could win. There is nothing. We're not even sniffing the playoffs yet. We're still in February. And I have zero faith that we can. Yeah, maybe we'll get out of the first round, but who are we facing in the second round? You know, and
no, I agree. I do think, and we touched on this last week with our conversation with Kevin. I do think that the Knicks could beat the Cavs in the playoffs. I think the Cavs are real, but I do need to see them do it sustainably in the postseason for a sustained period for several series, not just one. But with the way things are looking like they're going to lock in, the only way we'd face the Cavs is in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we'd have to get through Boston to get there. And like you said, this Knicks team just can't beat the Celtics. The Celtics are too deep. They have too many options, and this Knicks team has just lost too much on the defensive standpoint from last year. There's also something I saw on, I believe, Blue Sky. I think I liked it. I might have even re-blue-skied it, whatever you call that.
Is that what they're calling it?
I think that's what the kids are calling it these days, or the elder millennials, whatever generation is using Blue Sky. But I do forget who said it, so I apologize for that, which was my point of that diatribe. Somebody said, like, these are the games where we really miss Julius Randle, and I was kind of like, yeah, that might be right.
He does bring that bully energy to it that nobody on this team really has.
There's no bully ball energy on this team anymore. Brunson
there is
does
none,
what he
actually.
can, but he's what, 5'10"? I mean, I've made this point on the podcast before, shortly after the Randall trade months ago, and if you know me in real life, I've probably said it to you before, but like, Randall was that fullback, was that hard running back, that fullback, that power running back who just beat up the defense and loosened it up over the stretch of 48 minutes, so that in the fourth quarter, you know, the other team
they're
was
a little
wiped.
broken down.
They're more broken down. They've spent too much energy playing physical defense against Julius Randle, and that just isn't there this year.
That's a really good point. Whoever made that, kudos to them, because I didn't even think about that. And this is a good segue. Mitch is like, is he enough? Genuine question. Like, is Mitch, does he bring enough defense I want to say yes. That's why I was really, 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 really hoping that he would at least play in one of these two games so that we could see what this team looks like, where we have a true interior defenseman, one of the, if not one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. Like, how does that change us? Like, I don't know the full stats, but it seems like Celtics got plenty of second chance points off us on Sunday. What does that game look like if Mitch is here? And you know what? Maybe that behooves us that the Celtics don't really get to see that until maybe the playoffs or later in the year. So I don't know. It's a long year, and like we live in such a reactionary world where it's like, if who do we have tomorrow?
76ers, baby.
76ers. Good. That should be a good get-right game. And maybe we blow the doors off them.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And then, we might be, and if we're recording this podcast after that game, we might be whistling a tiny different tune because, we live in the moments, and that's part of being a sports fan,
No, we do. I to the point you made a little earlier, I do think it will be beneficial that the Celtics and Cavs and other teams haven't seen the Knicks with Mitch. If Mitch is the X factor we so desperately need him to be. If he's not, then it really won't matter. But if he is this team defense changer, this real big X factor that we all really want him to be and think he could be if he's healthy and playing the way we know he's capable of playing and really locked in and focused, then I think his addition to this roster is transformative. But if he's being emo Mitch and, maybe he's not fully healthy and they're forcing him back, or there's a world where he's not the X factor we want him to be, or he gets hurt again, and then we're still back to the not so great contending Knicks.
To that point, did you see Tibbs today? I believe
I did. I was going to bring that up as well.
And this is something I've been saying. I don't know if I've been in the minority of him being in the starting lineup. Like, why not?
Yeah, Tibbs straight up called him the starting center. I mean, we've been saying your least favorite line of mine, the poor man's Rudy Gobert, Mitchell Robinson.
Poor man's Rudy. I'll go with you on it now.
Fair, but no,
I think
agree.
That makes sense.
I think
especially based on certain lineups. Sorry,
I think there's an obvious answer, or maybe an obvious choice between two answers. But with Mitch being the quote unquote starting center when he's back, who do you see from the starting five going to the bench?
I think it's maybe Mikhail.
Or do they let the Knicks play six? Hey.
We are such a delusional fan base that we could rationalize why the NBA should allow us to do that.
Adam Silver wants everyone to like him. That's a great, let's get all of New York to like you. Let the Knicks play 6-on-5. Why not? I amended my earlier thing to saying an obvious answer, an obvious choice, because I do think Mikhail is in contention for that six-man role. And maybe that is where he's best served, but I think at least to start, it'll be hard. Not to be a poet, but I think Josh Hart will be the first one to get 6-man minutes. I think that'll be interesting because we're used to seeing Josh Hart play for 40-plus minutes a game, and I think he still could. He'll probably come off the bench quickly for whoever's struggling out the gate, and then I doubt you'll get him off the court. But I do kind of see Josh Hart, or to your point, Mikhail, being that 6-man.
Yeah, it's definitely not why OG. Coming off, I think, for multiple reasons.
Maybe they'll sit Brunson to start.
You know what, though? I think, to your point, I think the reason you could make the argument about Josh Hart over Bridges, because Bridges, I think, is the perfect candidate to lead the second team.
Yeah.
But with Hart, there's less of an ego there. That
exactly
him coming off the bench, he's not going to bat an eyelash about it. He's going to do what the team needs. So
he loves his role. He loves this team, and I feel like he'll do whatever it takes and whatever's asked of him.
Or have you heard this rumor? We might be getting a 2-time All-Star.
Who?
We're favorites to land Victor Oladipo.
I did hear that, actually. I did hear that. I don't know how that plays into the conversation of which starter goes to the bench, but I did hear we might be getting Victor Oladipo, which could be interesting. I'd much rather see him getting Landry Shamet's minutes, I'll tell you that much.
Sure. I don't know what he's been doing, but,
Singing? Have you ever heard him sing? He's actually a very talented singer.
He looks like Akon, so I'm sure he's good.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I do think, though, just to kind of put a bow on this starting five, who's going to the bench conversation when Mitch comes back. I mean, we keep dancing around it, saying it directly sometimes. I think Cat and Jalen are such defensive holes that you have to have Mikal and OG out there to start the game.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
And it's nothing, Brunson is undersized. It's not for lack of effort. It's just as soon as they switch on him and he's guarding a guy that's 4 or 5 inches bigger than him, it's like, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
And, try to get the charge, buddy. He's going to ruin his career if he tries too many of those, but
we love him, though. That's our guy.
We love him. We love the effort. So he's got the heart of a lion.
So let me dial it back to kind of where we started. Do you think Mitchell Robinson will be enough of an addition to change his team from going 0-7 against the top three to maybe 500 against them?
I honestly don't know, but I honestly hope so. That's hope is all I got. 38 years of being a Knicks fan. That's all I got, baby. Hope.
I feel ya. Here's what I really want to happen. A la Willis Reed coming out to play the game while injured. I want Mitch's first game back, and this might have some inspiration from my Demon Deacons of Wake Forest and how the mascot comes out on basketball games. He drives a motorcycle out on the court. I want Mitch driving his pickup truck onto the court, first player introduction. Let's come back with authority. Let's announce that presence, and then let's be the beasts of the East the rest of the way. I think Mitchell Robinson is that X factor, and he's going to give us what we need.
Hell yeah, I hope you're right. You're a better basketball mind than me. I'm more of the beauty of the podcast here, the brain. I'm just here for looks.
I just hope it because I kind of really need it, if I'm being very honest.
I do too.
It would mean a lot to me.
I don't want this season to feel like it's over right now. I need
And
Mitch.
it really does, right? It feels like
it does.
It feels like the Knicks have reached, because to your point, it felt like the Knicks could go further. Like, if we were only healthy, we have the depth, we have the team, we have the guys that can do it. And this year, it's like, Mitch is the only chance we have because there's just no depth. I mean, this is transitioning into a kind of a different topic of conversation that's not on the outline or something we didn't really plan on getting into today. But sure. And I think we talked about this last week, everybody's killing Tibbs in the starter minutes, but who's on the bench to take those minutes
what is
over?
Tibbs gonna do?
What is he supposed to do? And that's why his quote today of playing 50-something games without his starting center meant a lot, because he's right. That's a major piece of the team that's been out all year, and for a team that's shallow on the depth front, that's a big damaging piece.
Mm-hmm. And that's, again, let's hope they get healthy, aka they stay healthy and they get Mitch back healthy. And yeah, I can't believe people are still killing Tibbs on it. It's almost like you're beating the deadest of horses. He's not going to change his coaching style. B, what the F is he going to do? You know what I mean? It's there's only so much you could do with putting Landry Shamet out there for 7 minutes, watch him brick 3 attempts. Yep. And then play decent defense, but whatever. It's by that time the damage might be done. So
seriously, yeah. No, I think you're 100%.
And not to keep, right, we keep ripping on Shamet, but it's a lot of the guys campaigns cooled down a bit. Which was to be expected. We were playing with house money there when he was just unstoppable from 3, just burning down the house. Burning down the house.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and we've said this a couple times, to your point of last year's team having potential, I feel like everyone's giving everything they have in the bag. They're not leaving anything behind. We've gotten max value out of what Campaign is. Precious is a dog. He leaves it on the court every night, but he's got a limited skill set as well. And, it's just kind of all of that. Where do we get more from? And that's just not there.
Mm-hmm. So wait and see, and hopefully we get Mitch back for this next week of games, and that we're talking about him next podcast, and we have a totally different tune.
Wait and see, indeed. And speaking of those next games, let's look ahead to the next week before you and I come back again. I think we can talk through a bit of these matchups in a bit more detail than we typically do, since we have some time. But we have tomorrow, as we touched on, a rematch of that opening round playoff matchup from a year ago, and our rivals down I-95. 76ers come to the Garden. Then Friday, we are in Memphis. Sunday, in Miami. And then next Tuesday, home against the Warriors. So what are you thinking about these next 4? What do you think about tomorrow night's Sixers game to start?
I'm going to just blanket say something real quick. We're going to take care of business with the Sixers.
Oh, for sure.
I am not. That is the hottest mess. Oh, no, we're playing the hottest mess 2 days after that. Those two are definitely dubs, Heat and Sixers. And I'm going to say all 4 are going to be dubs. I think the Knicks go 4-0.
I think 3-1. We'll be recording during the Warriors game next week, so we won't be able to give a full conclusive report on this 4-game stretch, but I do think we should include it for that reason. I think the Warriors game is a loss. I think, much like LeBron a couple weeks ago, Steph only has a couple Garden games left, and he's going to want to leave it all out there. I also think the Warriors,
I forgot.
I also think the Warriors with Jimmy Buckets are just so much better. I don't know if you watched that game over the weekend, but they're a completely new team now, and a locked-in Jimmy Butler at the Garden with Steph at the Garden just scares me a bit with the way things are going. That being said, I think winning these next 3 is massively important and massively doable. We've beaten the 76ers, we've beaten the Grizzlies, and we've beaten the Heat, so let's do it all again. 2 of those are on the road, which is always tough to win a road game in the NBA. But I don't see a reason why these can't be 3 wins in a row, if for no other reason than none of them are against the Cavs, Celtics, or Thunder.
That was going to be my joke as to why I think we're going 4-0. I was like, because we're not playing those 3 teams.
Yeah. No, the Warriors game scares me a bit. I still remember, 2015 when it felt like the Steph Curry coming out party. Actually, it was probably more like 2012, 2013 now that I think about it. I was living in Astoria with some friends. We were watching that game. It was technically the first night of Linsanity. That was the first night Jeremy Lin started getting some burn before that happened. But Steph went off. There's an incredible GIF you can find it. Steph's cooking. Timeout's called. Steph's cooking, going back to the beach. Draymond Green holds his hand up. Steph completely ignores the high five and goes to the bench. It's one of my favorite NBA GIFs ever.
I know the GIF. That's funny.
But let's not focus on the Warriors game. Let's focus on the 76ers, Grizzlies, and Heat, because that should be 3 good wins in a row. And if the Knicks want to shed some of the baggage and criticism they've been getting over the last week or so, winning those 3 in a row will go a long way to doing that. Yeah,
I didn't take into account it was a home game for Steph, or a Knicks home game for Steph. Jesus, getting to play at MSG. And the comparison with LeBron, I didn't put that into consideration. I still think we're a better team than the Warriors, even right. With Jimmy Buckets. I really would love to see us go 4-0.
Oh, I'm not rooting for 3-1.
I know you're not rooting for 3-1, but I could feel that we could pull off 4-0. So. But let's not jump too far ahead. Let's focus at the.
I like where your head's at, and I hope we can too.
I'm being positive, all right? That's what my therapist told me to work on that. So
I mean, hey, I was being positive when I said Mitch is going to be that X factor that we need. So I'm right there with you.
Okay, you were. I needed to hear that. I needed it. Really needed it. After Sunday, I was a broken boy.
Yeah,
fetal position on the couch.
I wish I was on the couch. That would have been nicer. I feel like I've mentioned on this podcast, I work for a sports card breaker named Mama Breaks. Shout out to the Mama Breaks team.
What's up, Big Mama?
We were sorting and shipping some breaks on Sunday. We have a TV in the office. Had it on. I'm obviously the only Knicks fan. Was very stoked to watch that game, and it went to focusing on work and getting made fun of by the office rather quickly once we saw how that game went. It was not fun.
Dude, the haters came out after that game, too. They were like, look, all the picks spent on Mikal Bridges, the max contract for OG, like, and it's like, damn.
The roster criticism is on full display, and it's hard to push back against it when you see kind of what's going on and what the changes from last year were and how these two teams just feel so differently from each other.
Yeah, you're right. So, haters hate on. But hopefully we get the last.
Haters gonna hate.
And apparently we're still favorites to land the Greek
Girl Depot.
Yes, Big Girl Depot. I kept seeing people in the comments in this one
also,
post.
Like, this is what annoys me about Knicks fans, especially, but just kind of general NBA discourse. Like, the trade deadline's passed. Like, I don't want to. We're still in this season. I don't want to talk about summer potential roster moves. I want to still root for this team. Like, this season isn't over, despite us saying it felt like it is.
I don't want you to think that's what I was doing. I was merely pointing out that that's what people are talking about.
I don't, but I'm criticizing the people talking already about, like, let's go get Giannis, let's do this. Like, sure, maybe that happens. That's all good and well. But, let's enjoy, even if we're not maybe as good as last year, even if we're not one of those top 3 teams in the NBA or title contenders. I mean, I would put money on this being the 3rd season in a row that the Knicks get out of the first round of the playoffs. And when was the last time we could say that? When was the last time we had a guy like Brunson who won 2 first-round series? I mean, I'm pretty sure Carmelo Anthony only won 1. I could be wrong there. If I am, I apologize. But yeah, so I mean, the good with the bad, if you want to be a competitive, good NBA franchise like the Knicks haven't been since the late 90s, you're going to have to fall short because only one team wins the title every year.
Yep, and we're playing relevant basketball. And
exactly.
I hate to say that.
We had 2
let's
all-star
not take this
starters.
for granted. I said
Jalen Brunson's going to be 1st or 2nd team NBA. Cat will maybe on one of those teams too. We'll see how the second half goes. I mean, ultimately, things are good.
Yeah, agreed. And you know what? Again, we live in the moment as sports fans. We feel a certain way right now. We're 0-7 against the 3 teams that are better than us in the standings.
Yeah.
There's still basketball to be played. This team's not out of it. We're not the Heat, We're not hoping for the ping pong ball to get Cooper Flag, We're in it. So crazier shit has happened before.
I mean, there might not be a ping pong ball for Cooper Flag.
I know, if he stays at Duke.
He's talking about. As someone with a number of Dylan Harper autographed basketball cards right next to me, I would not hate Dylan Harper becoming the number 1 overall pick.
That would be so sick. For you, I mean.
For me and my,
And Dylan Harper.
And Dylan Harper. And Ron Harper.
Is that John Harper's kid?
Ron Harper's kid, yeah.
I mean, Ron Harper's kid?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yep. Very
Kids
crazy.
we've seen
Go
play,
Rutgers.
now their kids are playing.
Go Rutgers, baby.
Was he Rutgers' kid? Yo, how about the Johnny's being relevant again?
Johnny's being relevant's great too. I love it.
Dude, I'm totally a bandwagon fan. Not to jump into this too much, but
hey, let's talk about fun New York basketball stuff.
Yeah, now that Calipari's here, I'm like, yo, you turned this whole franchise around. Wow. Or you can't call a school a franchise, can you? No.
Same thing. You mean Pitino, though, right?
I meant Rick Pitino. I'm sorry. I'm mixing up the Italian coaches.
Hey, it's fair. One coach the Celtics, one coach the Nets and Sixers, but yeah, who's keeping track?
Rick Pitino.
I love it. No, bring me back the days of Felipe Lopez and Ron Artest. I love a competitive Johnny's team for sure.
Dude, hell yeah. And this is now actually nothing will beat me calling our guest last week a Celtics fan.
That was funny. Hey, we got a lot going on. Sometimes our words fail us. Don't hate us. It's not like we're trying to be podcasters or something.
Yeah, please. All right. So
all right, now our favorite segment of the week. It is time for Josh Hart triple double watch. He was 1 assist shy on Sunday versus the Celtics. It could have been the one fun part of a really ugly game, but unfortunately it was just a double-double, not a triple-double. I went through his game log. I think last week I might have said he's at 8, but I counted. He's actually at 7 still. Still seems like 10.
Still
Our
good.
prediction is well within grasp. Who knows? With these next 3 games and needing wins against lesser competition, maybe they happen by the time we come back here next week.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
I think he'll get at least one in the 4-game stretch there.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think at least 1 triple-double over the next week is happening. Maybe two.
That's pretty optimistic. Let's go, though.
And now for our relatively still new, we still promise we're going to get you graphics at some point. Excuse me. But our more random non-Knicks segment, although shout out to the king of Knicks Twitter, Ben Stiller. Walt Clyde Milchick time. Let's get our severance talk on. How are we feeling about things at Lumen, buddy?
Dude, my Audi is really doing something that I hate because I wake up, when I get out of the elevator, boy, my buttocks hurts, my back hurts. I'm like, what's he doing up there? I don't know.
Can I bounce a theory I have off of you that has nothing to do with the actual show? But
Sure.
I'm shocked, and I feel like it will soon happen, that people start referring to their drunk alter egos as their innie or outie version of themselves.
I've already kind of seen people doing
Have
that.
you?
Like
I never have, but I was thinking about it the other day.
it's happening. And
Yeah.
I just kind of did it. So,
Yeah, there you go.
like, oh, I got really drunk the other night. My outie. Why did I wake up?
Oh, I didn't realize that's what you were talking about. My bad. I don't know.
I don't
want to know how you have a sore back after being blackout drunk. I don't need to know what you're into like that.
A million things could have happened.
Yeah,
million.
Exactly.
I think it's really becoming obvious that Irv works for maybe a government agency or maybe a competitor of Lumen.
Okay.
Just with I don't know. That whole part of the storyline is getting pretty fun.
It is. I've heard some theories that I kind of like, that Bert was never actually severed on that floor, and that he was kind of, they mentioned that he's been there for so long. Maybe he's more involved at Lumen than we realize. And he was kind of there as like a trap / monitor, kind of a different version of what Helena has been doing versus Helly. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot to watch out for.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think, they definitely at dinner allude to when he goes, you've been there for 20 years. And he's like, oh, he gets confused, 12 years. And it's like, that was a little obvious, but I also don't think that the show wants to be too over the top, like too like sneaky. Like that was probably like his husband effed up,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That storyline's getting pretty fun.
It is. And a storyline that's getting real weird is the Helena, Helly, Mark full name, love quadrangle, if you will, between
I saw a meme where they're all
people.
pointing. Like who's aware of who? They're all into each other in some weird way, I feel like. Like, yeah. That's getting wild.
It's getting real wild. It's getting real wild.
Oh, and one thing that by the way, spoiler alert, if you hung on this long and realized we started talking to Severance, sorry. Helly is pregnant. I am 100% behind that theory.
I definitely am right there with you.
Yeah. And I watch this podcaster do a breakdown video every week. And the restaurant that he leaves, I think it's called something Fen Fu or something. Mm-hmm. One of the lights to the first word is out, and the light to the second word is on. And that second word means, I believe, father, as Mark S. is walking out of the building. So I was like, okay. I can really get behind this now.
The podcast I listened to, I think I mentioned last week, shout out Ringer Prestige TV podcast, Joanna Robinson and Rob Mahoney, who also replied to one of my Instagrams this week.
I went to high school with Rob Mahoney.
Shout out Rob Mahoney. Also an NBA podcaster, shout out group chat. But I believe that father thing, the full word is grandfather. It's not an exact translation that the lit up part is father, but the unlit part is the grand in grandfather. So that's why people are reading it as like father.
Interesting.
I don't, speak too many foreign languages, so I don't know the specifics. But that's the way I heard it described in detail. So that
there's a lot of baby stuff, like even in the intro with the little baby businessman crawling around. Like, who knows?
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I also think Ragavi, I believe that's her name, the doctor who's helping with the reintegration, feels like she might not be on the good side and might be kind of mulling for Lumen. I don't know. There are a few things there that just kind of piqued my
I don't
ears
think
up,
she's
piqued my eyes
working
up.
for Lumen. I think her interests do not align fully with Mark's.
Agreed.
I truly, she doesn't have Mark's best interests in mind.
100% there.
Yeah.
Also, it feels weird that he wouldn't tell his sister he's doing this.
I know. I thought they had that kind of relationship.
They do. They were working to bring them down together. Now he's going to take the next step and not tell her? That's very strange.
Well, at first, I could see him not tell her because he'd be afraid that she might talk him out of it. But, like, once you already started the process, like, don't lie to her. Just be like, yo, this is what I've been working on. Okay.
Agreed.
Maybe he was going to tell her before he fucking lost it and smashed his head on the floor.
Maybe that was a rough fall. Someone compared it to a fall in Better Call Saul, and I couldn't agree more with that comparison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when Chuck falls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
Same,
so I'm excited for next Friday.
Thursday, but yes.
Well,
do you watch on Fridays?
It comes out on Friday, but yeah, I watch it Thursday nights.
No, it comes out on Thursdays at 9:00 Eastern, 6:00 Pacific.
Really?
Yeah.
I just always, God, I'm an idiot. I always thought Apple just released it like a few hours early.
Nope, that's a scheduled specific time window. Yep.
Well,
most streamers now have a specific time they release their episodes, and it's typically 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Shout out to anybody who was waiting for new episodes of Skeleton Crew to drop on Disney Plus last winter.
Shout out to anyone who follows our release drops too. Yes. Thank you for tuning in to us. And on that note, I'm a complete idiot on many levels. Did not know when my favorite show actually starts. And yeah.
I would just like to remind everyone at home that I started watching this show about 2.5 weeks ago, and Marky started it about 3 years ago. So yeah.
Yep. Okay. And on that note,
I think
you'd like to say to the folks out there?
Thank you for listening or watching if you've made it this far. It's funny. I actually do know people who tune into our pod and tune out when we go to Severance because they're not caught up. So shout out to you who are not hearing this because
good, turn it off.
You tuned out already. As always, follow, like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, anywhere else. Leave some comments. Tell your friends about us. Share us on your Instagram stories. Do what you got to do to get
Smash
the word
that
out.
Like button.
We are the Big Nick Energy Podcast. Actually, shout out Enquiles on Fanatics Live. I was sitting in the Breakers chair at Mama Breaks earlier this week, and we were talking Knicks, and he gave us a follow. He's going to start listening, so shout out to you, and thanks for joining us. If you have a question, maybe one of these days we'll get some, or I might just start making up fake emails, and you'll never know. But the email address for the podcast is bkepod@gmail.com. bkepod@gmail.com. Follow Big Nick Energy on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever you get your social content. I'm John Kalnoski. He's Marky Capicato. Marky, what do you have to say to the people?
Stay classy, San Diego.
Or New York.
Or New York. Or
Later,
LA.
y'all. See you next week.
Bye, guys.